welcome back, and let's get rolling with your next math video lesson. In your textbook, if you're following along, this is Chapter 5, Lesson 4 on page 241. This is day 2 of solving inequalities. Previously, we have been working a lot with equations, and we've learned how to isolate the variable by doing the opposite and doing it to both sides. And then day 1 of this lesson, we basically applied all of those same principles that we learned with equations. We applied those to working with inequalities. Let's remember quickly that an inequality uses these inequality symbols. But basically, when you're solving an inequality, it's the same practice as if you were solving an equation. You're always trying to get the variable alone, and you're always doing the opposite, and you're doing it to both sides of the inequality. So in day 1, we were adding and subtracting to solve inequalities, and we found that that really isn't all that terribly difficult. Now today, day 2, we're going to be multiplying and dividing to solve these inequalities. And while it isn't really any more difficult as far as like the calculator work goes, it's multiplying or dividing. I mean, it's not that difficult. There is one teeny little catch. And on this screen, in big, bold print, I typed the catch. The catch is, if the variable term is negative, that means if the number that's stuck onto the variable is negative, for example, this is a negative variable term, and this is a negative variable term. If you end up with a situation like that, where the variable term has a negative on it, you are going to have to flip the inequality sign over when you multiply or divide by that negative number, that negative coefficient. So when you go to break that -2 off of that A, and you're going to divide to do so, or when you're going to break that -5 off of the y by multiplying by -5, you're going to have to remember to flip the inequality sign from whichever sign it is now, greater than or less than, to the opposite, greater than or less than. Only when the number that's attached to the variable is negative. And that's for multiplying and dividing. Okay, so I have some examples here. Both of these examples here in blue, those are examples when the inequality sign is going to flip over. So if I'm looking at the first one here, -5m is less than 50. Okay, we look at the m and we say, okay, we need to break that -5 off. Instead of multiply by -5, we're going to divide by -5. And when you divide by a negative, right there, that sign flips over. Now m is greater than 50 divided by -5 is -10. The sign flipped because it was a negative number stuck onto my variable. Same thing happens over here on the right. Right now it says c divided by -2 is greater than 25. So instead of dividing by -2, we're going to multiply by -2 on both sides. That cancels. The sign flips. Because we're multiplying by a negative, c is not greater than anymore. c is now less than. 25 times -2 is -50. The sign flipped because of that -2 stuck onto the variable, that negative coefficient. Not all of them are going to flip, only when there's a negative number stuck to the variable. So look at these two examples. Look at that 5x over there on the left. That's not a -5. That sign is not going to flip. So for this example, we just treat it as you would treat a regular equation. You're trying to get that grumpy variable alone. The x does not want to be multiplied by 5, so we divide by 5. And we divide by 5. Those cancel. The sign does not flip. It stays less than. And 45 divided by 5 is 9. Now, just for review's sake, let's graph this on a number line. You draw your little number line. You put your hashtag right there in the middle, or not your hashtag, your little hash mark. Put your 9. Where would the values be on this number line that are less than 9? Well, I would advise you to think of some numbers that are less than 9. What's less than 9? 8 is less than 9. 1 is less than 9. 0 is less than 9. So having those numbers in mind, and I look down at the number line that I drew, where would 8 and 1 and 0 be? They would be down here, headed to the right. I know I need to put a circle on the 9. Do I shade it in? No, I do not. Because it is not less than or equal to, it's just less than. Good, so now we've also reviewed graphing. Okay, let's look at the next one over here. B divided by 8 greater than or equal to -6. Okay, the B does not want to be divided by 8, so you're going to multiply by 8 here and here. The sign does not flip because the 8 is not negative. B, still greater than or equal to, -6 times 8 is -48. Graphing? Sure. There's -48. I know I need a circle. Now, what are some values that are greater than or equal to -48? Well, 5, that's greater than -48. -48 is greater than or equal to -48. 0 is greater than -48. Now, where would all of those numbers be? On this number line, they would be to the right. And because of the equal to part of the inequality, this one gets shaded in. Cool. A couple more, and then we're done. Oh boy, look at that guy. 7 is greater than or equal to -2f. Do you see a -2 stuck to that variable? Because I do. I see a negative coefficient. That means that sign is going to flip. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. Bang, now it's done. Okay, let's talk about the f. He doesn't want to be multiplied by -2, so you do the opposite. And you divide by -2. So those cancel. There's f. I flipped the sign. And 7 divided by -2 is negative. I'm kind of out of room. Oops, sorry. 3.5. Oh, man. I've got some decimal answers today. Yeah, you've got some decimal answers today. There's -3.5. -3.5 is less than or equal to f. Find some numbers for f that would work. What would work? -3.5 is less than what? Well, it's less than 0. It's less than 10, right? So where would those numbers be on this number line? They would be this way. And I would shade it in because it's equal to. Cool. Let's do the next one. Y divided by -4, sign's going to flip, is less than 3. All right, I'm going to go ahead and flip that sign so that I don't forget. And instead of divide by -4, I'm going to multiply by -4 here, and here, and bye-bye to those. And y, and my sign flipped, and 3 times -4 is -12. And I'm going to graph it, because I know that I need to. And I know I need a circle. And I don't shade that circle in. Now, let's see. Y is greater than -12. What are some numbers that are more than -12? 20, 1, -8, whatever. All of those are more than -12. Where are those on that number line? They would be going to the right. And I do not shade the circle in. Now, those are the 4 examples that I've done, and we're not going to do any more, but I do have a question for you. Does the sign flip in these examples? All right, let's work through the left-hand column. 5a is greater than 10. Does this sign flip? No. Because he's positive. How about the next guy? Now we're looking here. 5a is greater than negative 10. Does that sign flip? No. Do you know why not? Because that is a positive number. Okay, look at the third one down. Negative 5a is greater than 10. Does that sign flip? I hope you said yes, because that is a negative number attached to the a negative coefficient. Okay, let's do the right-hand column. M divided by 2 is less than 20. Nope. Because that is a positive 2. No flip there. How about the next one? M divided by 2 is less than negative 20. Is the number that's stuck to the variable negative? No. Then no. The sign does not flip. And the last one, M divided by negative 2 is less than 20. A disco. Yes, that one does flip because it is a negative stuck onto the variable. So this is just going to be one of those things that is going to get you. As soon as you quit thinking about it and you let your guard down, it's going to get you. All right? So be careful and try to remember about those signs that flip. This is what we'll be doing in class. Notice there aren't a lot of problems. We'll be graphing our answers on a number line. We're going to have some decimal and fraction answers. And 6 of these problems have signs that will flip. 6. So that's kind of a little guide you can kind of check to see if you think your answers are right. All right? I'll see you in class. Thanks for watching.